Hi guys, Tracy here, your Detroit-based resident political diva, and happy Saturday. It's May 16th, and can you believe that we are only 80 days away from the Michigan primary and 170 days and 8 hours and 47 minutes and 57 seconds as of this video from our national election for president, POTUS. So, there's a lot happening, and I just wanted to invite you to a series of political vignettes that I'm going to do from your resident political diva, just to help do my part, to let people know what's going on in the political world, what's important, and how they can register to vote, and how they can vote by mail, because, there's a national push on voting by mail for this election because of the impact of the COVID-19 virus on all of us. If you remember, during the presidential primary, there was voting in March, and that was right before the COVID-19 virus really hit hard. And I remember voting, and I wore my PPE. I had on a face mask and gloves. I was in and out. I did have to wait in line, but I did it. And will people want to do that, though, in August and November? They say there's going to be a second wave of this virus. I just don't know. So there's a lot at stake. The presumptive nominee on the Democrat side is Joe Biden, and everybody's waiting to hear about who his running mate is, and that's why I'm wearing this hat. No, I'm not trying to emulate the Representative Frederico Wilson out of South Lake, Florida. I just want to show you this hat and this autograph here from Stacey Abrams. She ran for governor in 2018. That's her signature. I captured that when she was in town. And she could be the running mate. She could be the running mate along with our own governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. She's been getting a lot of media play lately. She even was spoofed on SNL, and she was invited to Joe Biden's roundtable the other day and did very well. So she could get it. She could get it. The nod. Also, Kamala Harris is in the running. Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, who I supported in the presidential primary. So, I don't know. Should I keep the hat on or take it off? I don't know. It kind of gives me a little bit of flavor today. Well, I just want to tell you about the nature of these vignettes, and give you a little appetizer today. But I also want to tell you about a special that I'm doing in collaboration with the Black Women Lawyers Association of Michigan. I'm a member, and on Saturday, a few Saturdays away from now, Saturday, June 20th at 12 noon, the Honorable Kamisha D. Gant of 6th Judicial Circuit Court out of Oakland County will be joining me to discuss voting rights, how to register to vote, voting by absentee ballot, and why it's so important to flip that ballot and vote for the all-important judicial races. This year, we have a number of important judicial races on the probate court level, Michigan Court of Appeals, Circuit Court, all the way up to the Michigan Supreme Court. Michigan Court of Appeals, you have 11 candidates who are essentially incumbents. They stood before and they're standing again. And so that race isn't really that sexy, but there are some what I call politically sexy races that are happening for judge, and one being in Wayne County. There are 2 spots open for open seats. And in that race, you have several candidates. There are a couple of candidates that really jump out at me in terms of name ID, and that would be Nicholas John Hathaway. Everyone knows if you have Hathaway as a last name, it essentially assures you a seat on the bench. We will see if that happens again this time regarding Nicholas Hathaway. We call him Nick. I know him from Wayne County Juvenile Court. He is spectacular, and he has been really active on social media and, more importantly, in the community. I see him everywhere. For example, he was at an event for Martin Luther King Jr. birthday, and he racked up 5,800 petition signatures. That means that he's connected with a lot of people in terms of, actually connecting with people out in the community. That's what happens when a candidate actually racks up signatures instead of just paying $100 to get on the ballot. That's the fee, okay? I'm not implying anything, but Frank Simone, who I know, I don't know him well, but I know him. He actually got 6,000 petition signatures, but the other front runner candidate, I think, is Mary Beth Kelly. Now, she is a judge who she's a visiting judge, by the way, right now in Wayne County Circuit Court, but she had a seat, an actual spot on the bench in 3rd Judicial Circuit Court. She was elected to the Michigan Supreme Court, and then she went to a high-profile silk stocking law firm, and now she's circled back and wants a seat again on 3rd Judicial Circuit Court. Kelly, that name resonates with a lot of people. You think of Frank Kelly, the Kellys. I mean, it means something. But you have another candidate in the race by the name of Chandra Baker. She's with Black Women Lawyers Association of Michigan, a very impressive candidate. She has been able to garner 4,288 signatures. I understand that there is a petition signature challenge with respect to her. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. But Chandra Baker, a quality candidate. The other people running in that race are Deanna Beard and Shakira Lynn Hawkins. And I did mention Frank Simone. So I'm going to be covering these judicial races as part of Judicial Wars. I also will be covering congressional wars. There's essentially a rematch in the 13th congressional district. Democrats are running, vying again, a duel between Brenda Jones and Rashida Tlaib, who's the incumbent. And whatever you say about Rashida Tlaib, she is well loved by a lot of people. She was the one who called the president a mofo. Can you believe that? And she wasn't censured by the 13th Congressional District because, she took a shot at the POTUS. Not, literally, but figuratively. And so people love that. And she's got a posse. She's part of the squad with Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Presley. And she's out there vocal. Oh, by the way, I want to show you this piece that I received from her recently. It was actually sent to me, not my daughter, Amber, who's a millennial who votes. This is very text heavy. It's not a campaign piece, though. It's an informational piece for constituents that, tells them to stay home, stay safe, how to apply for and receive unemployment through MyWham, and how to get those stimulus checks if you haven't gotten them already, and resources for seniors, and, just how to take care of yourself during this pandemic. So this is a very good piece, and it's 4 panels and both sides, and I do like her imagery and her message, and solid piece. So her challenger, once again, is Brenda Jones, the city council president. This is her piece. I like it. I love the red, white, and blue. I'm down for it. I like how you can connect with her and her campaign. She says that she wants to be reelected because she actually served. She served 5 weeks. It was a brief tenure, but she served 5 weeks, and she says that she voted 77 times. I don't know what her status is on these signatures, though. There was that federal lawsuit by a candidate to extend the deadline to put in your signatures to get on the ballot. Interestingly enough, this candidate already had the signatures, and that was one of the state of Michigan's arguments as to, why is this candidate filing this lawsuit when he already had the signatures. But nonetheless, it ended up extending the deadline to turn in and submit petition signatures to May 8th at 5 p.m. Now, when I look at the candidate listing on michigan.gov/elections, it says that Brenda Jones filed her petition signatures on 4/21/2020. It doesn't give the amount. So there's a big question mark about whether she has sufficient signatures. The other side of the lawsuit is this federal judge said that these candidates only had to provide 50% of this normal allotted amount of signatures. Because of the COVID-19 crisis, how can you expect these candidates to be able to do it? But clearly some candidates have been able to do it on the congressional and judicial level in terms of these races. And I heard this lawsuit was reversed. So I haven't read the actual opinion, but that kind of puts Brenda Jones in a dicey situation. She also had a little bit of bad press about campaign finances. So I don't know. She's got three, um, well, they have three Republican challengers, David Dudenhofer, Al Lamo, and Linda Sawyer. But this leans heavy Democrat. It's a Democratic bastion, and no Republican has a chance in this race. I'm sorry. And, this is the seat that was formerly held by the late great John D. Conyers Jr. And people think that Rashida Tlaib is worthy of being in that seat again. So we will see. The 14th congressional district, that's Brenda Lawrence. Some people have said that she has some kind of sketchy votes, haven't approved of her votes in the past, and that she doesn't quite connect with the constituents the way people would like. She only has one Democratic challenger, Terrence Morrison, and there's a Republican in the race too, Daryl Houston. Again, that's a lean heavy Democrat district. But 2020 is also the year of the census, and because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Michigan is not really returning the census questionnaires like they should be, particularly in Detroit. And I do believe that southeastern Michigan is going to be at risk for losing a congressional seat. So there are other dynamics in play. We'll see. But at one point, will the 13th and the 14th districts merge? And will there be a runoff between, and I just use that term loosely, not technically a runoff, but will there be a race between the seat holders of the 13th and 14th congressional districts? That remains to be seen. That's fascinating to me. Just a little snippet on these hotly contested state rep races. Whenever there's an open seat, everybody comes out and they run. Not everybody, but a lot of people, more than usual, they come out and they run. It creates what they call these bedsheet ballots. And we have that, for example, in the 3rd district for the Michigan legislature. And you have 9 candidates running for that seat. That's a seat vacated by Wendell Byrd. His term is up at the end of the year. He's running for Wayne County Commissioner right here. And you have the lone woman, China Cochran, running in that race. This is supposed to have been the year of the woman. Turns out it's the year of COVID-19. But she ran before. She did well. She will hopefully have the same base turnout for her. I know China Cochran and good people, but she's facing 8 other candidates in the race, including John Cromer, who's run before, Stephen Lett, Donovan McKinney, who enjoys a lot of union support, Keith McMurtry. And interestingly enough, you have a former Michigan gubernatorial candidate in the 3rd district race for State House, Sri Tanadar. Sri Tanadar, who says that Detroit embraced him, and the 3rd district in particular was a district who embraced him, and that is why he moved there to answer a calling, to respond to a request to run. And he's there, and the 3rd district has a big presence on the Avenue of Fashion in the form of his campaign headquarters. He's doing a lot of things on social media and in the community. He just gave out care packages to senior citizens' homes all over Detroit, not just in his district. And he's really doing it up big. I would not be surprised if he clinched that seat, but we shall see, because there are other people in the race, including Art Tyus and Al Williams. He has a presence. He does the African American Leadership Awards, and I think he's done radio stints. He's run before, and we'll see. I've seen some of his lawn signs out in the district, and it's about who can turn out the vote, especially during this pandemic. When people are scared, they're scared to go to the grocery store. So are they going to go to the polling places or even do these absentee ballots? That remains to be seen. Anita Vincent is also in that race. I also want to talk about the 4th district, because that is an open seat, unfortunately, because of the demise of the late, great Isaac Robinson, a colleague of mine who passed away due to COVID-19, and just shocking. I was shocked. I remained shocked. I worked with Isaac on expungement litigation along with attorney Robin McCoy and Mary Waters and the Redemption Coalition and others. And oh, wow. It's unbelievable that he's gone. but there are 14 people that want to replace him. And the names that jump out at me in this particular race are Fraser Kimson, who reportedly was thinking about running in the 3rd district, but when Sri Tanadar jumped in, he jumped out. So we'll see what happens in the 4th district. We also have Tawana Simpson, who's an activist. I've appeared on Let It Rip with her. We were both fighting against facial recognition technology. We're invited by Charlie Langton, and she did a great job. And I've been at Board of Police Commissioners meetings with her in Detroit fighting against facial recognition technology. And so she's running for both the partial term, which, by the way, has 11 candidates running, and for the full term, which has 14 candidates running. So that's an interesting race. We'll see what happens. In the 5th district, Cynthia Johnson, she's the incumbent. I believe she'll be returned. Once again, she's being challenged by Rita Ross. She's kin to Diana Ross, but, people don't really care about celebrity connections. The politicians got to be able to connect with constituents and explain why they should vote for them and what they can do for them. And Cynthia Johnson's been doing for her constituents, and I do believe that she will be returned to her seat. Also, in the 6th district, we have Tyrone Carter. He just announced his campaign. He's running again. He needs assistance. I think he's doing well. He does have 2 Democratic challengers, though. Ivy Nicole Neal and David Palmer. And Representative Tyrone Carter was also stricken with COVID-19, and he recovered, though. And it seems like he never stopped. Even though he was a coronavirus positive, he just stayed out there. High-profile person, does a lot for his community. Worked with him on the whole expungement legislation piece as well. And I do believe that he'll be returned to his seat, too. In the 7th district, you have an open seat, and Helena Scott's running, and Lee Yancey. I know Helena, and we'll see what happens there. Also, in the 8th district, that's my district. That is a district that Sherry Gay Dagnogo currently represents. She was thinking about running for Congress to replace Congressman Conyers, the late Congressman Conyers. And he wasn't the late congressman then, but she has formed an exploratory committee. She may be running for mayor next year, challenging Duggan. I don't know if Duggan is even going to get back in the race. He has named a new deputy mayor in the form of Conrad Mallett, and we'll see what happens with that. But Sherry Gay Dagnogo is a true leader, wants to lead, wants to continue to serve, but not in that district. You have Anthony Bradford running for the open spot, and Reggie Davis, a former Wayne County commissioner who lost his seat to Monique Baker McCormick. He used to be in another district at one time, and I guess he moved in to run. That doesn't mean anything in Detroit. People like quality candidates, and if they feel that a candidate is qualified, they don't care if they come from the moon, frankly. Okay, Hillary Clinton moved to run. So many people, Gabe Leland moved to run. So many people have moved to run. It just doesn't resonate with these voters, So George Etheridge, I found out that we had a common friend, or I should say a friend in common. That's a better way to put it. And who unfortunately passed away. I'm giving a tribute to William Thurston Armour, our mutual friend who passed away just recently on May the 5th of COVID-19. I knew him for decades, and just shocked, So many people we have lost to this virus, and you've got to stay safe out there, people. I also want to mention, back to District 8. Stephanie Young's in that race, and she's a former neighborhood city hall manager. And I believe Reggie Davis was her assistant manager, so that's interesting. She's now a CEO of a nonprofit, I believe. And then in the 9th district, now that is going to be an interesting race because you have the incumbent, Representative Karen Whitsitt, who is being challenged by 3 Democrats, Mark Cummings, Nicole Elcock, and Roslyn Ogburn. I have heard of some of them, but, Karen Whitson has really been doing a lot for her constituents. And the reason why she's experiencing this challenge is because, a few weeks back, she too was stricken with COVID-19, and she took that drug, hydroxychloroquine. It's a malaria drug, and then she went to the White House. She was invited to the White House by the president, POTUS, and she met with Donald Trump and Mike Pence, and it resulted in her being censured by the 13th Congressional District, and so she cannot appear at any of their functions or nor be endorsed by them. So, but what it comes down to, folks, is the constituents, and I know that Karen Whitson's been doing a lot for her people in that district, and I just saw her today on social media, and I think that she's going to get that seat back. So that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And then finally, I do want to mention this 12th district race. Alex Garza is the incumbent, but he's being challenged in sort of a quasi rematch because, Alexandria Taylor ran against him, and actually it was an open seat, and they both ran, and he won, and that was a hotly contested race. Now, Alexandria Taylor, my colleague, she's an attorney, her partner Ed Martell, I think they're married, they have children together. He's running against Alex Garza, and Ed Martell works closely with Representative Cynthia Johnson, so he knows his stuff, and he would be great representative. But Alex, I know Alex too, and he's doing a good job, and the people love him, so that's going to be really interesting. And I mentioned Alexandria Taylor. She's running for judge. She's running for 34th district judge, and she would be a great judge, and she's running against the incumbent and some others. The incumbent is David Parrott. He has some baggage, frankly. He got some bad press due to domestic incident that happened, and it will be interesting to see if someone else can get that seat in the 34th District Court. And in the 45th District Court, I've got to mention before I go, I have several colleagues who are running in that race for the judgeship at 45th District Court. And they include Jamie Powell, who I went to law school with, and I support her fully. But there are other people that I know in that race, too. I just found out Gil McRipley, we call him G, Whitney McRipley. He's in that race. He's a great candidate. Rick Halperin, lawyer guardian ad litem, and also Brenda Richard. And there's a few others running in that race, too. That's out of Oak Park. So we've got a lot to talk about, folks, and my time is up. I just hope that everybody is staying safe and, practice your social distancing and wear your PPE. And I'll be in touch real soon. Look for these videos. I'm going to try to do at least one a week, and they'll be up on YouTube too. And Tracy out.